A very, very warm welcome to the art blog, Art Lovers, with me, George Dopamine. It's another hot day in London and another very hot ticket on the London Summer 2022 art scene. Today I want to take you to Milton Avery's retrospective at the Royal Academy. I've been waiting with high anticipation for this show ever since it was announced. Avery is not a household name in Britain when you think of American 20th century artists, but in his homeland he's considered one of the greats, deeply beloved by abstract expressionists like Barnett Newman and Mark Rothko. Indeed, Rothko called him the greatest living American artist when he was also alive. I think that Avery is not well known for two main reasons. One, nearly all of his work is held in American collections, so we don't really get to see it much here. The Tate holds one, the Yellow Sun, which I've seen, but apart from that, as far as I'm aware, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I don't think there's another Avery piece in the UK. And secondly, Avery himself straddled two different artistic movements, American impressionism and abstract expressionism, and so he's kind of neither one or the other, and so he doesn't fit neatly into any category. Avery was born in 1885 and left school at the age of 16 and worked in a series of blue-collar jobs in Connecticut, in factories and other places. And by 1915, he was having to support 9 female relatives. So he was not a classically trained middle-class artist. Having said that, he was always drawn to art and kind of went to evening art school and art classes in Connecticut while also working. He got lucky in 1924 when he married a fellow artist, Sally Michelle Avery, who was prepared to work commercially to support him and allow him to paint full time. By 1929, one of his paintings had been collected by one of the great American art museums, the Phillips Collection in Washington, D.C., for the first time. And after that, his career took off. By 1965, when he died, he was much loved by Mark Rothko and others. I can't wait to see this show because I'm going to be seeing most of these works for the first time and bringing them to you. This show is on until the 16th of October. It's £15 to get in, £17 if you had a £2 donation. And it's one of those shows where I'm getting the feeling I'm going to see some amazing art that I've never seen before. I imagine lots of it's come from America. So do come and join me as I take you inside the Royal Academy to explore this show by Milton Avery. just coming out of the Royal Academy now. I thoroughly enjoyed Milton Avery, American colourist, as the full title of the show is called. It left me with a feeling of uplift and joy. I have to confess, after the first room, there's only 3 rooms, it's a small show, and after the first room, I was left feeling a bit deflated actually. The colours are very muted. You can see here, obviously he's influenced by American impressionists, but these works don't make you go wow. I mean, the colours themselves are actually dull. Look at this one, Fall in Vermont, for example. And there were little hints of what I'd expected from Avery. You can see here this painting, Little Fox River, one of his famous earlier works, begins to explore the colours that I was expecting from the show, and this one, Blue Trees. But I have to say, even the walls of this gallery were muted, and some of the work was just plain bad, like this one in the spotlight. Then, bang, you go into the second room and you begin to see the artist get his artistic voice as he moves away from that impressionistic style of art. Compare these 2 self-portraits. The first one is from 1938 and the second one is much later, and you can begin to see that he's not so interested in purely figurative work. The show is taken to another level with this famous painting, Husband and Wife, which was painted in his apartment in New York City. And you can begin to see him finding his artistic voice even more, mainly in the way that he uses colours. Look at the pinky mauvey wall, the furniture, the clothes of the sitters. He's not yet prepared to move away from direct figurative representation totally. You can see he's sort of tentatively scratched in more specific details, and if you compare it to these 2 later on, you begin to see that he's much more confident in his ability to be able to use colour to express the painting and the work, not just figurative representation. I have to say, art lovers, that the final room is the one. It's the one that you've come to the exhibition for. It's where we see Avery as the master colourist that the exhibition promises. He is somebody who is able to use muted tones, really bright tones, but he links them together very much like his contemporary Rothko. And he also flattens surfaces and thins colours, simplifies his expression. And if there was one word that I would use to describe this room, it is harmony. These works are incredibly harmonious, they're pleasing and they're beautiful. And what I love as well is Avery was revered by younger abstract expressionists like Rothko, like Barnett Newman, but you can begin to see their influence on him. For example, who can't see Pollock in Sails in Sunset Sea that you can see here, even though Pollock is obviously purely abstract artist and Avery is not. And what about this one? Rothko's influence, I think, is very clear to see in sea and sand dunes. Yet Avery never quite makes the final jump to pure abstraction. Everything remains figurative. This one's called Beach Blankets. You can see them, can't you, even though it's really abstract as a pace. And this one's called Black Sea. Even his most purely abstract work, and one of his most famous works we're so lucky to have in the exhibition, Blue Sea, Red Sky, has broad, which you can see here, has a very, very broad figurative approach. Avery only left America once to come to Europe. It would be interesting to hear what he thought about that trip. He came in 1953 and landed in post-war London that was still full of bomb sites. And this painting, Excursion on the Thames, is rather wonderful, isn't it? It mixes that figurative and abstract elements. It makes London look quite exotic, quite different to how I imagine it must have looked in that post-war period. Overall, do I recommend this show? Yes, I do. I would give it an 8 out of 10. All of these works, nearly all of them, have come from the United States of America. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see these works in one place. It's the biggest retrospective of Avery in Europe ever, and it's the first one in the UK. It's on until till October, the 16th of October, and it's good value, I think, at £15. I spent about 45 minutes in there. And what I would say is, it's an art exhibition that will leave you uplifted and full of joy. And my vlog, a couple of vlogs ago from In the Black Fantastic, which was an incredible exhibition, by the way, do check out my review on that, was a very, very difficult, tricky exhibition, challenging exhibition, quite rightly. This one is about aesthetic beauty, so do come along to this show. It's really worth trying to delve into this artist. And finally, do remember to subscribe to the art vlog and hit that notification bell. Lots of reviews from both London and around the UK are going to be coming up over this summer period. And do get out there and keep exploring the wonderful British art scene.